Hello, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to love ourselves, others, and a higher nature, how to improve our finances, career, relationships, and spirituality. And today's topic is something that's very pertinent. It is how shy and introvert people can rule the world, the new social paradigm. I'm noticing that a lot of people are becoming more introverted, which means they're going within themselves, as opposed to extroverted, which means they get energy by socializing and being with others in the outside world. Even aside from the pandemic, because of our new technology and the convenience that comes from it, people are wanting to stay at home and do more things at home. I was talking to one woman and she says, even before the virus hit, I liked doing everything from home. I like to shop online. I get food and clothes and furniture, and I have entertainment at home. People can work from home. They can even date from home, find the right person, and they socialize through Zoom. So a lot of things are changing. We're becoming more of an introverted world, internal energy world, and also a shy world in many ways. People that are very sensitive to the environment and also very reflective. Research shows that approximately 50% of people are what we call introvert energy. They get energy from their own thoughts as opposed to other people. They like to spend time by themselves, reading, writing, thinking, meditating, listening to music, and having a few close friends. 50% of people are what we consider to be shy. They're people that are sensitive to the environment, very deeply reflective, and they can also be self-conscious in terms of the fear of being judged, criticized, or rejected. Now, the old way of looking at introvert and shy is actually a negative viewpoint. Introverts were seen as being loner, antisocial, even hermits, or maybe even a strange person like the Unabomber that's weird and bizarre and out there in the woods somewhere trying to plot bad things. And the shy people, in a negative sense, were viewed as being fearful, people who avoided others, people who were weak. Yet, things are changing, and I'm one of the first to write a book actually called The Gift of Shyness that reverses the whole paradigm and looks at the positive sides of being shy. Shy people can be good listeners, sensitive, reflective. Now, they do have the self-conscious side, which they want to work on, but they have a lot of wonderful traits. In more recent times, books have come out talking about the advantages of being an introvert, people that get energy from their own thoughts, the quiet, strong leader. In one study, they found that introvert leaders perform 28% better than extrovert leaders by listening carefully and making their teams feel valued. It seemed like extroverts seemed to clash with their extrovert workers. Everyone wanted to talk at the same time. They had more conflicts as a result. Now, when we talk about introvert and shy, they're related but different concepts. And I came up with what I call the four shy types. For example, someone can be introvert and shy. So introvert means they get energy from their own thoughts. They like to spend quiet and private time alone. And the shy part means that they're very sensitive to the environment, to how people react to them. So a non-shy introvert is someone who is not shy, but is internal energy. So they can actually be the life of the party. They can go out and socialize and talk to people and be very outgoing for a period of time, but then they get tired. They need to recharge their batteries. They need to go home and take a hot tub, listen to music. So the non-shy introvert can go to a social event early and leave early because their social energy is exhausted. But once they're there, they can be very outgoing. Then you have what's called the shy extrovert, someone who is shy, socially sensitive, but also extroverted. So once they get a comfort level and they feel comfortable in a group, they can be very outgoing, have a lot of friends, and want to stay out late socializing because they are extroverts at heart, even though they have a shy side. And finally, we have what's called the non-shy extroverts. These are people that we think of as being charismatic and outgoing and kind of the classic salesperson, marketing person who can sell ice to Eskimos. They're very talkative and very confident. And that's the view that many societies in the West value as important, the person that's very communicative. Yet there's also cultural aspects. In certain cultures, shyness is actually a positive. In China and Japan, research shows that 60% of people are considered to be shy, but it's considered to be a positive trait. Children who are shy in China, for example, are known as dongqi, which means understanding, or guai, which means well-behaved. In one study, they found that children in China who are shy were more preferred as playmates and friends than other children. In some cultures like Israel, there's a low percentage of shyness, about 30%. Israelis are taught to have what's called chutzpah, which is kind of an audacity or courage to speak out, to speak your mind. So there's less shyness there and it's less valued. Also, environmental factors can come into play. Sometimes you have an overprotective parent that says, don't go out there, it's going to be dangerous, be careful. And the child may become a little shy as a result of wanting to be protective of the environment. And then there's the biological side, genetics. Kagan, a researcher, had a study in which he had 4-month-old infants. And he put brightly colored toys in front of their faces and Q-tips dipped in alcohol. And some of the children reacted very strongly. They shook their little hands and feet, they cried. And 20% of them were what he called high reactives. They were highly sensitive to the environment. Another 40% were not sensitive at all, and then 40% were in the middle. For the high reactives, he followed them into later childhood. He found that a high percentage of them turned out to be very shy or had social phobia, an extreme form of shyness. And these high reactive or high sensitive children can be found even in utero. when they're in their mother's womb, they have a higher heart rate as well. So they react strongly, more intensely to the environment. Another interesting study shows that children that are conceived in the fall, in the September time when there's less light, are more shy. And during this time, their mothers produce more of the hormone melatonin, which deals with the sleep and wake cycle, and is passed along to the fetus. And melatonin is associated with something called hyperarousal, being more sensitive to the environment. So these children actually are shyer or more sensitive to changes in the environment. Also, some people are what we call situationally shy. They're shy only in certain situations. For example, in a dating or romantic situation, going for a job, or public speaking, but they're not shy in other situations. And the majority of people are secretly shy. Only 15 to 20% of people actually show the so-called obvious symptoms of shyness. Someone that looks away a lot, may stumble with their words, and avoids people. But other people can be shy, but also function in public and even be actors and entertainers and public speakers because they know how to mask their shyness. Now, although shyness has some negative connotations over the years, in the book, The Gift of Shyness, which I wrote and came out in early 2000, I talk about the gifts of shyness, which is the title of the book. For example, shy people are often sensitive and empathetic. Because they know what it feels like to be different, maybe to be ostracized in some way, they can be sensitive to other people's struggles and be able to understand it. They're often loyal in their relationships because they may not be able to find that many people because of their shyness. So the ones they do find, they're likely to stick to, whether it's a love relationship or a friendship, and they appreciate those friends they have, the fewer friends. They also have the gift of listening. Shy people can be very good empathetic listeners. This is a great gift because most times when you talk to someone, they're thinking of what they're going to say back as you're talking, so they're not really listening with full attention. But shy people have that ability to fully listen, and it can be a great thing. Also, they have what's called reflection. They can think before they act, so they don't do impulsive things and make mistakes. On the other hand, sometimes they think too long. They think, oh, should I talk to that person? Should I do this? And then the person walks away, and they don't get a chance to interact with the individual. So not waiting too long, but waiting long enough is the balance they need to strike. Also, shy people, another gift is they're very modest. They're approachable. People see them as non-threatening. But shy people also need to respect and appreciate their talents and their gifts and be able to be confident about what they do have as a balance as well. Another interesting and attractive trait in the shy person is mystery. Because they don't speak a lot, perhaps, they're interesting. They're mysterious. People want to know more about them. On the other hand, some people may think they're aloof and they're arrogant because they don't talk. So the shy person has to strike a balance between talking a little bit or not talking enough. And finally, shy people are gentle. They have a calming influence about themselves. So you can often find them in human service professions, counseling, social work, teaching, religion. So these great gifts are wonderful. The key is how to minimize the challenging side of being shy, which is the self-conscious side, the part of you that feels you're going to be rejected, criticized, or judged, and accent the positive elements we're talking about, the gifts. One of the things we talk about is how to access your shy star power, because all shy people have a little of that star power inside them, or what I call the actor. The actor is a part of your personality that is confident, spontaneous, free-flowing. And then we have what's called the observer part of your mind that is self-conscious, like a mirror that looks up at all your flaws and imperfections. You don't look that good, you don't talk that good, you're going to say something foolish or stupid, says the observer. So the key is to be more of the actor. And the way to do that is to, first of all, put a face on the actor and the observer. You can draw or cut something out for a magazine, a picture, or from the internet of something that looks like your observer. You can even draw it with colors. Give it a name like Silly Putty or Rejection Machine. Make it red or green, whatever color strikes you as that observer that's always criticizing you. And also you can do the same thing for your actor. You can come up with a name like Light Goddess or Hercules and draw them in a big, strong, confident way. You can post these pictures on your bathroom and consider that to be your role model, the person that you are, this actor that has power. Now, Reggie, my producer, I know you're kind of a shy guy, and you really haven't had a serious relationship. I guess you're almost 30, and you've been on a couple of dates in your life. We even have a bet where I paid for your date, $100, and you finally found a date. It's been a few years. How's that going? Did you ever get the date?
We're working on it, so to speak, like we discussed it, and
Okay.
It's been really difficult right now because, well, she's working and going to school, and I just got to do a new job, so.
Okay, Reggie, no more excuses. Okay, I want to see this happen, okay? Okay, busy and all that, you got to take the bull by the horns. Now, Reggie, can you think of a favorite movie actor, TV actor that you admire, that you would kind of like to emulate a little bit, that has confidence and charisma and charm?
I think we discussed before, but I really like Gary Oldman.
Yes, Gary Oldman. What do you like about him? Tell me his qualities and traits. What does he look like, dress like, talk like?
Well, he's just very confident of himself. He plays a variety of roles, very different characters. He's like almost like a chameleon, but he's usually very confident. Whatever it is, he's confident,
Okay, so you want to be a kind of a chameleon and confident too.
Yeah.
I can see you have your haircut today. You're shaving out the look, but maybe you want to wear a longer hair someday, or maybe do something different with your style.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then your personality. Okay. So then what you want to do is, Reggie, whenever you go out somewhere, think of you being like Gary Oldman, this kind of figure that's mysterious and chameleon-like and confident. And then walk into the room with that attitude, and you can start to have more confidence and be able to interact with people better. And one of the things that you can start to develop, and all shy people out here listening to us, is what's called chutzpah, which is the Jewish term for audacity or courage to speak up, state your mind, be confident. One interesting thing about the way Israeli children are raised is that if they fail in something after trying, their parents usually say it's because of something outside of them. For example, they didn't do well on the sports team, they lost, but maybe it was the coach that didn't coach them properly. If they succeed, it was because they're smart, they're strong, they did well because of their talent. So as a result, the children learn that there's no big price to pay when you try and fail. The only price is when you don't try at all, because you don't take a risk to succeed. So that's one of the things shy people need to realize, that if you want to talk to someone and you're afraid that they'll reject you or you're not going to look good, say, there's no failure in trying. There's no loss, because I can learn something, I can grow and become better socially. Our great esteemed poet Robert Frost said, have courage and a little willingness to venture and be defeated. Unless you're willing to risk being defeated and talking to that person you want to talk to or going to that social situation, you may never be able to interact with who you want to interact with and have the relationships that you want. So you need to take that risk, take that chance. And one of the ways to do that is what I call incremental conversation. Start a little bit at a time to extend your social energy as a shy person. Shy people often think of things as all or nothing. I got to make a great first impression. I got to be funny. I got to win the heart of that person I'm attracted to. And they freeze up, they get paralyzed, and they may even avoid interacting. So you have to think of it as every interaction is a social experiment. For example, go out and smile at someone. Just smile. Say hi. Pay them a compliment. I like that shirt. I like that color. Be curious about people. Maybe the waiter or waitress at a restaurant. What is it about this person that makes them tick? What is their passion or interest? I wrote a book called Love Types, a bestseller that talks about compatibility and personality type, Myers-Briggs. And I teach people the 4 magic questions to determine their what I call love type, the romantic style. You can ask these 4 questions to break the ice and also learn about the person. For example, what's your favorite movie? You might say Star Wars. Why? Because I like the way the relationships were in the movie, and it made me cry. So you're probably what we'll call a feeler. You go by your heart in making choices. You're more of an emotional person. If you say, I like Star Trek because of the special effects and the plot and the direction, you might be more what we call the thinker. You're more logical and analytical. So you use your logic to make choices. If I ask you, what do you do for fun in your spare time? And you say, well, I like to stay home and watch videos and play games and read. You might be more what we call the introvert energy, as we mentioned earlier, someone that gets energy from themselves, internal energy. If you say, I like to go out and socialize and party and be with friends, you might be more what we call the extrovert. You get energy from other people. If I ask you, what would you do if you won $10 million in the lottery? And you say, I want to create a dream business to change the world, go to the Himalayas and meditate, you might be what we call the imaginative person, intuitive, someone who's creative. Or if you say, I want to save and invest, or I want to enjoy the beauty of life, travel and fine wine and dining, you might be what we call the sensualist or the practical person, feet on the ground, concrete and realistic. And then we say, hey, you just won 2 free tickets to Las Vegas, but you have to go to tomorrow, a work day. Would you go? If they say yes, they're probably spontaneous. They're free-flowing and open-minded to being spontaneous. Or if they say, no, I got to plan it or I can't go, they're probably more structured. So these questions can give you great ideas of who they are and also break the ice. They're very commonly asked questions. Something else that's very important when you're a shy person meeting people or going out is the idea that the first one doesn't count. Sometimes shy people put a lot of pressure on themselves. I got to talk to that person, that attractive person across the room, or I got to make a presentation or do something that's fantastic. But maybe the first one doesn't work out that way. Maybe the person is not interested in you. Maybe the presentation doesn't appeal to others as much as you thought. But you can say that's just a practice. That's a step to getting better. So the first one doesn't count in your mind. It's a warm-up. It's just a way for you to get your feet wet into the situation socially, psychologically, or romantically. Another important thing is to think once it's over, it's over. Don't do what we call the post-mortem. Now, shy people, Reggie, you're nodding your head here. You know what I'm talking about, where you said, I should have said something. I didn't say, I should not have said that. And you beat yourself up for what you should have done. Why does it happen to you, Reggie?
Well, like, why does it happen? Just that's just how we're wired, you know. We're just like we overanalyze everything, you
Yes.
know, dwell on what we did wrong.
So, Reggie, you think about what should I have said to that woman, or maybe I made a mistake. I said the wrong thing. So, oftentimes, shy people beat themselves up. So, you need to learn how to forgive yourself and say, it's over. I'm going to move from this. I'm going to learn from this social experience and become stronger and better the next time. Another useful exercise for shy people is what I call getting the fools out. Many times, shy people are afraid of being foolish, looking foolish in public. So, they may not say anything or they may withdraw. So one thing to do is what I call paradoxical intention, which is to do the opposite of what you fear. So in your private place at home, maybe in front of a bathroom mirror, act like a fool. So start jumping up and down and making weird and crazy noises, robot noises, and weird gestures, and say, I'm a fool. I'm acting like a fool. And it can be very funny. You can start laughing in the mirror. And then once you realize that, you can start to have more confidence now that I can go out and not worry about being a fool, because I was just a fool in private. Now I can be confident in public. I got these foolish parts of me out of my system, so I can be more confident. And it kind of changes your whole mindset of not being so careful about things and not being afraid to make a mistake, because you've already been a fool, so there's nothing to lose. Now, another one, this is something we've done, Reggie, in the past, is called yes and, which is an improvisational therapy technique. Basically, it means a person says something and the other person adds to it and says yes and, so you start to build conversational energy. Many times people say no but, so they actually stop a conversation. So let's try this, Reggie. I just got on a pink camel and I started to fly into the desert.
Yes, and in the desert there was a house made of gingerbread.
And I started eating the gingerbread, but then I realized I need something better than this. What can I get?
Yes, and then you looked and there was a river made of molasses.
Reggie, you're crazy. You know this is not going to work out. Okay. Well, I know you have a vivid imagination, so I got to give you that. But this is kind of a fun exercise. You can try it with a friend and someone that you're close to, and it kind of builds your social energy. It helps you be creative and think outside the box, because sometimes shy people feel they're trapped. They don't know what to say. Am I going to say the right thing? This is a way to loosen up that flow, so you can start to say things that come to mind in a very fun, spontaneous way. The other thing that shy people have a trouble with is they often have a small space mentally and physically when they go places. They walk into a room and they may go to a corner. They avoid people's eyes. Instead of being a big presence, they become a small presence. So what you need to do is to expand your essence, to walk into a room as if you are the biggest thing there, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, not in an arrogant or egotistical way, but in a confident, in a loving way. Now, there's a point 2 inches below your navel in martial arts and Eastern philosophy called the hara. And the hara is the center of your power and balance. Martial artists, when they focus on the hara, are impossible to move. Very strong and tall people and try to push them off balance, and they can't be moved because they're in the balance of this point called the hara. So what you want to do is visualize a colored light that's coming from the hara, 2 inches below your navel, every time you enter a social room where you might feel uncomfortable or shy. And visualize this light has a warm and loving energy, a confident energy. Maybe it's the color green or blue or white. And visualize this light coming from the hara and spreading all throughout the room, spreading love and positivity as you walk in the room, also with confidence. You might find that when you do this, people will react very positive to it. They'll smile at you, maybe, and they'll come to greet you in almost by miraculous ways, because you're extending this positive, loving energy to them. Now, one of the things that people are afraid of, shy people and people in general, is rejection, that someone may not respond well to you. They'll ignore you, even not like you for whatever reason. This is something that drives a lot of people in social settings psychologically. And in studies, they find that when you are rejected or feel that you're rejected socially by someone or romantically, the same part of the brain that responds to being punched in the stomach is activated. So it's almost like being punched in the stomach when you feel that rejection. So it can be very painful. So the way to rethink that, instead of saying I've been rejected by someone that didn't respond well to me in a social setting or romantic setting, think of it as a non-connection. You extended maybe a chocolate or something, a candy to this person, and they didn't take it, but now you can re-extend it to someone else, and they may be able to enjoy what you have to offer. So redirect your loving energy elsewhere if you feel that you're not connecting with a particular person, and realize it's not necessarily about you. Maybe they're having a hard day at work, or they had a fight with their love partner and they didn't react well to you, or maybe you're not compatible, but it has nothing to do with your inner worth and your inner power. So you want to become like the sun. Now, the sun shines its light on everybody, on the young, the old, the poor, and the rich, the so-called physically attractive or not so physically attractive. And there are people that don't like the sun. They cover up. They put an umbrella. But the sun doesn't get mad. It doesn't take it personal. It keeps shining. In the same way, you need to do the same, is to shine your positive, loving energy. Smile at people, say hello, be complimentary without expecting anything back, that they'll respond to you, that they'll like you, that they'll approve of you or recognize you. You do because you're developing that inner loving energy as a power, as an inner strength for you to extend outwardly to others. Now, these are all powerful techniques for a shy person. How about if you're introverted? Now, we mentioned earlier that you could be shy and introvert, or you could be non-shy and introvert. Introverts also have their own inner power as well. So if you're introvert and maybe not shy, or you're both, one thing that you need to do is to embrace your internalness, the part of you that's internal, and appreciate that you can be by yourself and be comfortable. You don't need a lot of people around you. You don't need to necessarily have a lot of friends, maybe a few close friends. You can be perfectly happy with that. Now, before the pandemic, people that are introvert, you might see them in movies by themselves or a restaurant, and they're having a good time by themselves, unless they're made to feel awkward or they start to think, hey, I'm lonely, but they're not necessarily lonely. They can be perfectly fine. So if you are an internal energy person, realize you can be content by yourself. Maybe it's Thanksgiving and you don't have anyone to be with necessarily, or you have few people, but maybe you can be okay if you're an internal energy person, if you accept and embrace yourself. The other thing you need to know as an internal energy or introvert person is to manage your energy. Because you have a limited amount of social energy, you need to say no to social encounters that are not really true to who you are, that are not going to fulfill you, and invest in the right people, the right social situations. You may have a few close friends for life, very deep friends, and that's all you need. You don't need to be around a lot of people, socialize a lot, because your energy has to be wisely invested. Now, earlier we talked about the incremental talking, which means talking or expressing yourself a little bit at a time, a smile here, a hello there. As an introvert, you need to have what we call the incremental go out rule. So you start to go out of the house a little bit at a time. One of the things with introverts is they don't like to go out because they feel comfortable, safe, and secure at home. They don't have the energy necessarily to go out to a social event or an activity. But maybe there is an important activity they want to go to. It could be job or career related, or maybe relationship related or romantic related. So what they can say to themselves is, I'm going to go for only 30 minutes or for an hour. And that's my mindset. And many times when they get there, they might enjoy it and have a great time and they want to stay a little longer. And that's fine. But to get them out of the house, they need to almost trick their introvert mind. They need to say, I'm just going to be there for a little bit of time. It's a way to incrementally push yourself out into the social world for a period of time as an introvert, and then you might enjoy it and you'll stay longer. Also, as an introvert energy person, it's good to schedule weekly activities where you are socializing. Nowadays, people are doing them through Zoom. For example, it could be a lunch date with a friend, or maybe even an actual lunch date, a church or a religious or meditative service, an exercise regimen where you're with other people. So once a week, get yourself out of your internalness at times so that you don't fall into the potential of loneliness. Now, loneliness can be a problem for some introverts because they start to think, I'm alone all the time. What's wrong with me? Even though they do enjoy that, there are times when they need that social contact. They need that social perspective to realize that life is not that bad. When I'm around other people, I hear they have their own problems and I have my problems, so I'm part of the human race. So I feel better about myself as a result. I feel more confident and hopeful. And that's important for introvert and shy people to have. And also for introvert and shy people in general, there's a concept called energetic social networking, which means to create positive energy through networking or even through dating. So many times shy and introvert people say, I don't have any friends. I don't know how to meet people. What they can do is they can say, I'm going to connect or introduce the people I do know to other people. They can do this through Facebook, social media, or even in person. And what happens is when they start to introduce other people to other people, they start to get a positive social flow. And sometimes their friends reciprocate and do the same to them, introduce them to a new business contact or a potential date or romantic partner. So it becomes a cycle of positive energy that flows as they get out there in the social world. So the bottom line is, if you're shy and introvert, and that's a lot of people that are, listening right now, I imagine a fairly high percentage of people have one or both elements. is that you can rule your internal world. You can have a very positive, happy experience in life, even though you're not out there socially all the time. And now it's hard to do that because of the pandemic. But even when this is all over, you might say, I really enjoy my internal world, my sensitive, shy world. I can still embrace other people. I can still extend my energy out there to meet more people, but within a comfortable way where I can be comfortable. I don't feel out of sorts. I'm not being inauthentic to myself. I'm not trying to be a party animal when I'm not, or a social butterfly, but I'm a person that wants to have intimate and deep relationships and good friendships. And I can also do that within my own comfort space as an introvert or shy person. So introvert, shy people, go out this week and rule your world. Smile at people, say hello, be kind, help other people, be compassionate, and take care of yourself. Because the fundamental part of all this is to love yourself. Love yourself, and not in an egotistical way or arrogant way, but in a way that's confident, loving, and compassionate. If you do that, you can rule your inner world. Now, if you want to be part of Love University, if you want to be on the show, if you have ideas and questions, make sure that you connect with us. We're a growing Love University community. You can visit us at loveuniversity.love. Email us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. Call us at 310-226-8090. You can like us on Facebook at Love University Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Love Letter U Podcast. And of course, subscribe to us at iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, and Spotify. So until next time, Love University students, put away your notebooks, your iPads, your iPhones, and your shy and introvert books and tapes you're looking at. And we'll see you next week. This is Dr. Alex Avila, Love University.